Is Avalanche still worth investing after the total value locked is only a former shell of itself? Let's try to get an objective review here. Let's look at the on-chain data most people are not considering. So this is Avax's total value locked in USD, and here we've got the same chart in Avax. So yes, the decline was not just because of a general crypto winter, this is less usage on chain. And the rest of DeFi actually recovered better than Avalanche. That being said, in the very short term, Avax seems to be catching up again. In the last month, its total value locked increased by 7%, which is the most of all of the major chains. So it's the 7th largest chain and it's the 14th largest cryptocurrency as a whole. The current market cap is at 9.5 billion, and yes, there is token dilution, but it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. In the early days, we have seen the circulating supply double and triple and quadruple. Now it's still growing, but we're looking at roughly 10 to 15% token inflation over the course of the next 12 months. So the real driver for the future price development is probably not the supply, it is demand. So let's try to find out where demand is currently headed. This is, by the way, not the first video on Avalanche on this channel. I published one 36 days ago titled "Is Avalanche a steal again?" And since then, the Avax dominance, so the fraction of Avalanche of all of crypto, did rise. It went up by roughly 18%. Avax relative to Ethereum also increased. Now those two charts are quite interesting, right? It gives us a potential trading range. It gives us potential upside. From here to the absolute top, we are looking at a potential outperformance of 170% versus the rest of crypto. The potential downside is maybe minus 35%, or in the worst case, minus 73%. Avax versus Ethereum has a potential risk of roughly minus 50% and a potential upside of more than 200%. But again, all of this is driven by the demand. All of this is driven by the actual adoption and usage on chain. Let's have a look at the number of transactions per day. This looks relatively solid. We aren't growing that much anymore, but we are also not shrinking. It seems to be a relatively stable chain. The number of daily active users also looks relatively stable. However, there are a few things that are concerning me. For example, have a look at this. This is the gas usage. The gas usage is close to all-time highs. This is growing, while the number of active users is not. I interpret this as being potentially bot trading, because bots continue to stay active. Bots continue to do arbitrage transactions across chains. And so we simply see more competition across those bots that are using every single cent of potential arbitrage, while the actual number of users isn't increasing. The number grows very steadily, very linearly, probably also because of deployments for those arbitrage bots. And so here's a statistic that confirms this initial hunch. This is the average retention rate of a wallet on Avalanche, and this is not great. After 1 year, there's only 3% of wallets that are still active on chain. You try it out, but you don't find anything unique about Avalanche. And then you've got more than an 80% likelihood of abandoning your wallet, and then this continues to fall further. This does not look like a sticky product. And so when we look at the decentralized exchange cross-chain volume, Avalanche is rather small. It's only at 2.2%. But it seems like there are some institutional investors or some larger players that are using Avalanche potentially again for those arbitrage opportunities. Avalanche is the second largest layer 1 in terms of USDC that got bridged. Almost $600 million are on Avalanche, and that's only beaten by Arbitrum. Polygon has less, Optimism has less. And yes, Avalanche isn't necessarily growing, but it's still a large player, at least in terms of USDC supply within the layer 2 ecosystem. And so why do I say that this might again be institutions? Because when we look at who's holding this, we see that even though Avalanche has less USDC on chain compared to Polygon, the number of holders that hold that USDC is comparatively small. It's only 1/4 of that of Polygon. And so I've got the impression, since there isn't a lot of sticky usage on Avalanche, and since we simply just have our noise, our random arbitrage bot noise on chain, that probably the price of Avax relative to other cryptocurrencies will stay in its current range. The token inflation isn't terrible, but unless we find some real use case for the chain, I don't see a reason why we should suddenly see that outperformance. I believe it's more likely that we're going to stay in a somewhat tight range. If you appreciate a video that's not just hype, but that's actually data driven, then feel free to give this a like. I try to be as objective as possible. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe as well. I publish videos regularly on this channel, of course, also on Avalanche. If you've got Telegram, feel free to join us. The link is down below. Looking very much forward to chatting with you.